Today is April 28th, and here in a couple minutes, the next regular city council meeting is going to begin. Oh, here. What's that? Oh, thank you. You want Jamie? Sure. What's up?
It is 7 o'clock and we're going to call this meeting to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, council members and city officials. Welcome to the April 28th, 2025 Chillicothe City Council regular meeting. We are meeting at 26 South Main Street, Chillicothe, and I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Bennett.
Here.
Payne.
Here.
Elliott.
Here.
Barnes.
Here.
McKeever.
Here.
Dement.
Here.
Preston.
Here.
Kroll.
Here.
Creed.
Here. This is exciting. We've got everybody here for the first time in a long time. We've got a full council here at the meeting, so I'm glad to see that. And I do want to say, before we move on, I want to welcome Michael Elliott, the newest member of council, who was appointed and sworn in this last week. And so, welcome to the council. We appreciate your presence and your work here. Next, we'll go to the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'd ask Mr. Elliott to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have received 2 sets of minutes. The first set of minutes is for the April 14th, 2025 meeting. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those minutes? Are there any corrections, changes, additions?
President Shoemaker.
Ms. Bresson?
I'd like to make a motion at this time to waive the 3-day receipt rule on the 420 minutes.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Ms. Bennett. The clerk will call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
McKeever.
Yes.
Dement.
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
3 days are waived. And now, are there any corrections, changes, or additions to those minutes? Is there a motion to accept those minutes? Motion by Mr. Dement. Is there a second? Mr. McKeever? Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
Elliott. Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
You also received minutes from the special meeting was held on the 22nd. Is there a motion to waive the receipt of those minutes? Pardon? Oh, those were sent? Okay. So we don't have to waive that one. The question then is, are there any changes, corrections, or additions to those minutes? Is there a motion to accept those minutes? Mr. McKeever, is there a second? Second. Mr. Dement, any discussion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Minutes are approved. Now moving on to reports of committees. Development Committee, Mr. Dement.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Development has nothing on tonight's agenda and nothing to report. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Engineering Committee, Mr. McKeever.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Engineering has only one item on the agenda, which would be the third reading of an ordinance appropriating $96,000 to pay for the demolition of 6 houses within the city that have been damaged by fire. That is the third reading, first item on the agenda. The Engineering Committee did have a committee meeting tonight regarding assignment 25035, which is the appropriation to purchase traffic equipment for the Ohio Department of Transportation Bridge Street project. Moving money from the appropriated traffic control signals of $9,000 to traffic control signals, cab equipment, fund number, or line number 240-640-7902 for $9,000, which was approved by the committee. It's been moved on to the law director's office for legislation. Nothing further on engineering.
Thank you. Finance and Technology Committee, Mr. Kroll.
Finance and Technology has no items added to the agenda tonight, so we have nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Human Resources Committee, Ms. Payne.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We do have one item on the agenda tonight. It's item number 4, assignment 25-028, an ordinance appropriating $9,520 to cover costs associated with the city's participation in the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission's 2025 Local Government Internship Program. This is a program that we have participated in for several years. We do receive 100% reimbursement for the participation in this at the end of summer. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Parks and Rec Committee, Mr. Dement.
Thank you again, President Shoemaker. Parks and Rec also has nothing on tonight's agenda and nothing to report. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Safety Service Committee, Mr. Creed.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We had a committee meeting earlier this evening for item 25-036. This is appropriation for the replacement of the municipal court parking lot. Requested that we move $17,615 from special project funds to capital property maintenance and repair, all within the court system, for a total of $42,615. The committee approved that, so that will move on to the law director's office for legislation. We have 6 items on the agenda tonight, so I might get a little tongue-tied here as we go through all of these. Item number 2 is the third reading of an ordinance approving the modification of proposed roadway plans for the road network changes in and around Octavia Park as part of the Appalachian Community Grant Program. So, I went back and looked at a lot of information for this, and I prepared a statement. So the administration developed plans for changes to the park using the ACGP grant based on recommendations from the 1993 Master Parks Plan and the 2023 Comprehensive Plan. This plan was presented to residents in December of last year. In January, council received an assignment looking at road and intersection changes in and around the park as part of the grant. We have had 2 review sessions where we discussed these recommendations. During this time period, we received significant input from the community in regard to vehicular and pedestrian safety, loss of parking spaces, construction times, and short and long-term impacts on businesses. We looked at the data showing how changes to the road network, such as one lane in each direction with the center turn lane, and intersections such as roundabouts would improve vehicular and pedestrian safety. We took into consideration how the loss of parking spaces and closure of intersections for at least 2 months during construction of roundabouts would impact our businesses in those areas. Ultimately, we decided no roundabouts on Water Street, but we decided to keep the roundabout at Octavia Mill to improve the safety near the school. We also looked at 2 options of road changes within the park. Closing a portion of Trishler Road, as you can see up on the master plan up there, or changing that section of road to tie it into the changes in front of Memorial Hall Armory. The cost of $850,000 for keeping the road and elimination of at least 27 mature trees in the park versus $50,000 to remove that section of road became a cost and impact to the park that I was not willing to recommend. The recommendation for a 2-way road around Edgerton Circle will still allow 2 ways to drive through and access the park, and 4 raised pedestrian crosswalks along Edgerton Circle will slow traffic through this area to improve safety. While some believe that we should send this back to the administration and allow us to keep Trishler Road as is, I do not support this position. First, eliminating a thoroughfare that allows a quick route to get from Octavia to Bank Street will improve safety in that area, along with creating more walking trails and green space in that part of the park. Second, the administration is using the 1993 Master Parks Plan and the 2023 Comprehensive Plan to guide their decisions in this process. The 1993 plan called for removing the section of Trishler Road and adding an amphitheater. The Comprehensive Plan called for improving pedestrian safety, an amphitheater, pickleball courts, staging space for food trucks or pop-up markets, a rentable event pavilion, a civic spray fountain, and a centrally located permanent restroom facility. These are all changes the administration is currently working on with the ACGP grant. Whether you or I agree or disagree with all the decisions within the park and the amount of public engagement following the comprehensive plan, these decisions are the responsibility of the administration. I think we as council need to work with the administration in making these changes, which so many people in our community supported and worked on as part of these 2 plans. So at the appropriate time, I would ask for council to support the current ordinance on that. Item number 3 is an ordinance establishing rates of pay and other economic developments for non-bargaining employees within the Safety Service Department and declaring an emergency. Item number 5, an ordinance accepting and appropriating funds in the amount of $10,000 into the Law Enforcement Trust Fund. This was a donation to the city. Item number 6, an ordinance appropriating $19,130.81 for an unappropriated American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, Violent Grants Fund to cover payroll purposes for the designated police officers. Item number 7, an ordinance appropriating funds and authorizing the mayor to contract with appropriate firms to study and answer questions, including but not limited to physical condition of city-owned buildings, layout, renovation possibilities, and structural integrity. And we're doing this to look at where long-term we want to have our city facilities. Do we want to keep in the existing structures? Do we want to look at other structures? So this will allow the administration to get some input on that. At the appropriate time, I'll ask to waive the 3 read rule on that so they can move on with that as well. Number 9 is the first reading of an ordinance appropriating $20,000 for the replacement of guardrails along Carlisle Hill. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Utilities Committee, Mr. McKeever.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Utilities have nothing on the agenda for tonight. However, we had a committee meeting regarding an update on a couple of older assignments. An update for 25019, which is pending legislation with the Law Director's Office, is forthcoming. We should be receiving that soon and be presented to council. Second was 25026, which is a request to update the ordinance of 911-1606B1. The legislation was returned from the Law Director's Office for review and approval. And through committee, it was voted on to approve and move on for the placement on the next council agenda. The new business was a committee meeting 25034, which is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a membership with a Sustainable Ohio Public Energy Council, SOPEC, a regional council of governments that provides public energy services to its members. Now that concludes that was approved and moved on as well to law director's office for legislation. I do want to add on to Parks and Rec. At the last, on the April 14th meeting, we had a resident come in and brought to the attention of the restrooms and some buildings in the park that have been vandalized. I had a conversation with Mr. Bonner, the Parks and Rec director, and informed him of that issue brought up by the resident. And he assured me that it would be taken care of and they would continue to monitor that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. City Services Committee, Ms. Preston.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. City Services has nothing on the agenda and no current assignments and nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Community Affairs Committee, Ms. Bennett.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We have on the agenda tonight, number 8, the ordinance supporting the city community yard sale weekend, waiving the permit fee of $5. Ms. Sputnik asked us to go ahead and if we could waive the 3 readings since it's going to be May 1st at the end of this week. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. We'll move on to reports of officials. Mayor Feeney. That was not intentional, I assure you.
Just talking, you're good.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. I'm going to start by reporting on the news from April 15th. We're about 13 days into the announcement from Pixel that they would be closing their doors. As everybody knows, the announcement on the 15th was an announcement that those doors would be closed within 60 days. The events of that Friday have given, I think, us as a community and the employees there at the paper mill a little bit of optimism. I think that we were in a very bad place that Tuesday, and we're not in a great place now, but that news on Good Friday gives us some hope. I want to talk about it in terms of the impact on the paper mill itself and then on the city as a government and how I think we as a legislative body and administration, what we're going to have to tackle in the next coming months. First and foremost, I think the focus for me from the beginning was on the families, people employed at the paper mill, 800 plus people, and the uncertainty that they faced, job loss, that sort of thing. We believe that that 60-day time frame has been extended through the end of December so that there's at least some time for those employees to get their head around the fact that that paper mill is closing. The same can be said for the city. I have never seen a response. I've been with the city since 2013. And in my time paying attention to anything in government, I've never seen 2 United States senators, the governor, state representative, state senator, attorney general. I don't know that I've ever seen them in the same room anywhere. But for them to come down to Chillicothe that Friday was a good sign for us. And I want to thank each and every one of them for their swift action, strong words, and leadership for this community. It's one thing for a mayor to say, please don't close, but when the federal government is flexing its muscles, it carries a different amount of weight. So on that front, my goal will be to keep council and community informed to the extent I can where I know about the efforts to either A, keep the paper mill open, B, sell the paper mill. It will be group effort involving state, federal, and local officials to try and figure out what the options are. The paper industry is one that is narrowing at best, but there's no doubt that that paper mill has assets. We have energy there, we have gas, we have water, large facility. And so I think that that is why people at Jobs Ohio, the state, myself, still have some optimism that that can be a facility that is used into the future. That being said, the paper mill is the city's single largest employer, by a good margin. We have larger employers in the community, but 100% of the employees at the paper mill pay city income tax. That income tax revenue from the paper mill employees alone is somewhere between $1.4 and $1.5 million. Approximately 8% of our total income tax. Now, I mentioned 2013. In 2013, we were going out and doing some borrowing and getting bond ratings. It was more like 13% at that time. The diversification of the local economy is a positive thing. So 8% is better than 13%. That being said, that number does not capture the ancillary businesses that support and or make money off of the paper mill, whether that's timber or maintenance, what other types of jobs exist that support the paper mill. It's much harder for the auditor's office and the income tax department to capture supporting revenue. So in other words, that 8% number, that $1.4 to $1.5 million is the lowest number. Income tax is the city's bread and butter, but of course, a net loss of 800 jobs in the community would impact, have a ripple effect, including sales tax and other things long term. So, as a city, as administration, as government, county, and state officials, we have to approach this crisis on two fronts, which is a challenge as well. One is the optimistic front, which is all hands on deck to keep the paper mill open and or keep employees in the paper mill, whatever that might be. That could mean pulp, that could be repurposing into other businesses, but it has to be 110% energy to keep employees there. And I'm confident that, especially with the investments, notable investments made by Jobs Ohio, including in this region. I think Jobs Ohio injected $200 million into Fayette County for the Honda plant. That was to bring jobs. Job retention is a significant and important part of Jobs Ohio's mission. And so I think that it's possible that there's capital out there to keep this happening, keep it in play. So that's one front. The other front is the city's budget. And so as administration and council, we have to be realistic about what our budget looks like if in fact the paper mill does close in December. That puts us in a strange position. One where we are doing everything we can to keep it open and keep revenue coming, and on the other hand, being very aware of what happens if it closes. And so I've instructed every director in the city to start to take a look at their departments. There's no secret that the single largest cost of the city is employees. And so we're already starting to take a look at things like attrition, hiring, that sort of thing. And so going into the summer and into budget season, which I'm starting in August like we do every year, the auditor will have a tax budget this July, and I assume even if it is not the tax budget that is passed by city council, we would be seeing what projections might look like without that revenue. But we will have a tall task in front of us to approach the passage of a new budget with quite a bit of uncertainty in front of us. We have reserves that can get us through attrition. But I'm not certain what that looks like come January 1 if the paper mill does announce a closure. So my commitment to council and to the public is that we keep the lines of communication open and that we explore and commit to both every effort to keep the thing open and a strong path forward should the worst case scenario happen. And again, that'll be part of this year's budget cycle, and it's just something that I think is important that we're all very aware of. Whether that involves, earlier budget meetings, earlier review sessions, that sort of thing, I think that would make sense. If it nothing else, for council to get a good sense of how much we are reliant on local income tax. But I will say, my optimism level on Tuesday, April 15th was just about 0. My optimism on Good Friday was way higher than 0, so that's something. And so I think that, as Senator Moreno said, and others, it's important for us to remain optimistic and put as much energy as we can into keeping this employer in the community. I want to comment on Councilman Creed's commentary related to park plans. I will say this, from about a year ago when we first received, we got the announcement that we were receiving $35 million for a transformative project in the park. I don't know that I would have imagined the difficulty we would have had in this process. We were very fortunate to have completed a master plan and that Chillicothe plan. I'm convinced that that is why we received that grant. And I'm also happy that, as it turned out, Councilman Creed was a leader on that project. But I will say to council and to the public, the path that we are on, this process that we've been following, is far from ideal. The timeline that we are on alone makes this process very uncomfortable, for lack of a better way of saying it. For construction to be complete in the fall of 2026, and for us to have so much uncertainty still, is a very challenging thing. Almost weekly, there are dramatic changes. You can imagine what construction folks are telling me about the uncertainty around tariffs, steel, that sort of thing. But I think Councilman Creed said it well, in that we have plans and we're trying to move forward the best we can with the plans that we have. I think council and the community knows that very recently, just the location of the visitor center is something that we had a good idea on for several months, and recently changed, and that's just been the nature of this project. And so as we get construction prices back from the CMR, that puts us in a position to be able to tell the community what we can or cannot afford. And we are still in a position today where we are trying to figure that out, and that's just the honest truth. It's very challenging right now. We've seen some numbers that say the armory renovation is $13 million, and other numbers that says $7 million, and that is a big gap. And trying to get that information out while also being honest and realistic about what we're communicating has been very challenging. And so I appreciate council's patience with us. I appreciate stakeholders and their commitment to seeing this project through. We are doing the best we can with what we have. And I am the first to admit that it's not the process or the format that I would like to see. But given our options and our timeline, we are essentially faced with the circumstances that we have. And so when we know more, we will convey more, and that's genuinely like the best I can convey right now, which is a frustrating thing, very stressful, I think, for all of us, but is the nature of this expiring money. Just a couple things to wrap up. Maybe some good news, also park related. If you haven't been to the park, the Balmer Field upgrades, that parking lot, just about done. Looks great. takes care of, that pond area. It looks a lot like the pump house parking lot. Now that it's done, it should be a nice addition for those, families that use that field. We are getting the pool filled up a lot earlier than normal. I think it's actually starting tonight or tomorrow. We dealt with quite a bit of leaks last year, and we're trying to stay ahead of that. And so you will see it filling up soon. And then on a, I suppose, a sad note, maybe not sad for him, but sad for me and for us, I believe this is Councilman Prohl's last meeting with us. And I'd like to just thank him for his service to the community, dedication, time. I know coming off of that medical incident and coming back was not easy for you. I'm glad you did. Glad you're going on your own terms, but you will be missed. So thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll move on to the auditor now.
I do not have anything on the agenda tonight, but I did distribute the March financial statements, so you should all have that in your inbox waiting for you. If you have any questions on that, just let me know. And then that concludes my report.
We have no one from the law director, so we'll move on to audience participation.
President Shoemaker, before we move on to that, I would like to make a motion to waive the 3-day receipt rule on the agenda.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Creed. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Let's go ahead and have a roll call vote on that.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
The waiver is approved. Now moving to audience participation. Any person wishing to address the council must first provide his or her name and address. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes. I'll give you a warning when there is 1 minute remaining.
Hi, I'm still Jackie York, and I still live at 10 Kearsley Place and have a business over on Park Street. And I just wanted to come in here and say I'm still against that roundabout over at Mill and Yoctangi. I also have some more names on a petition here that we didn't get turned in the last time. And also, people were talking about how the public was kept informed and all this other stuff. I got to talking to some people, and one of them was my husband. You had a committee with 38 people on it that was over.
To some copy.
Yes. My husband was one of them. He was never called to a meeting one time. He was never informed about a meeting one time. I didn't know his name was on the list until someone sent it to me and said, "Is this your husband?" And I said, "Yeah." So I went to him and he said, "I never got told of a meeting. I didn't know anything about it." He said, "I applied, but nobody told me I was accepted." So people are not told about it. The people that I talked to about this petition here, they're still thinking that it's all done, that the roundabouts were done because you're putting out information that it was done over all, not gonna be on Water Street. They're not getting the information. People don't know about it, and if you're not on the right Facebook page or have the right friends or whatever, you don't know about it. I swear, I did not know about this. I didn't know that there was a meeting before the meeting for 555 when I came to the first meeting. I didn't know there was a meeting about the roundabouts that Melissa talked about. I didn't know. People don't know. People still don't know. And I think it's wrong. I don't think it's any better safety. I mean, you can shout out statistics all you want, but we're not other cities. What happens and works for other cities doesn't necessarily work for Chillicothe. But here's the names on this petition, and I just hope that you would please don't put that roundabout over there. Save your money. You're talking about being over budget and save your money. Put it somewhere that's going to be better used for more people than this road. It's going to be shut down for what, 2 months, probably, and it's not going to help me at all. I don't think, it's going to be safety because the kids aren't going to be in school while you're doing it, but I don't think that it's going to be any safer for them to walk across a roundabout than a red light. Teach your children how to walk across a red light. And if, as long as they're synchronized right, the light ain't gonna turn green when the light's turning red. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is the Reverend Terry Williams. I reside at 47 and a half East Main Street. I'd like to speak briefly about item number 5 on your agenda and then on an item that's not on your agenda. Just to reiterate, I spoke about this when it first came to committee, but item number 5 still has, of my copy of the legislation that was sent by the clerk, a statement about receiving this money, this $10,000, from an anonymous donor. And I just want to reiterate my concerns about that practice. I don't think it's good practice for the city to be receiving anonymous money. First off, because you really can't receive anonymous money. Somebody eventually will be able to find out the identity of the individual who's submitting the check or how that's happening. The other part of this, and the concern that I think that should concern all council members here who may vote on this, you have a requirement under Ohio Revised Code and the Ethics Commission to make sure that you don't vote on items that directly affect you financially. So if you have a financial tie to this anonymous donor that you don't happen to know who it is, you could inadvertently violate the ethics law. I think at minimum, every person on this council ought to at least inquire of the auditor's office or whoever holds this donation who that person is and what their business dealings are, so that you know that you are ethically clean. The second piece that I'd like to bring up today, it's April 28th, which is not a holiday that most people, regular, ordinary people, really celebrate. But for those of us in the labor movement, it's an important day today. This is the Workers' Memorial Day that's celebrated on the 28th of April every single year. You may say, why the 28th of April? Well, in 1971, the Occupational Safety Health Administration Act was enacted on the 28th of April in 1971. Now, the act was passed in 1970, but we all know government takes a little while to get around to implementing things. So they implemented it on the 28th. So 54 years ago today, OSHA was introduced, and OSHA's regulatory framework was created. OSHA in particular was a response to the deaths of workers in local communities. So every single year, labor movement organizations hold festivals and dinners and large remembrances on this day, and many have been held on this day and over the weekend here in Ohio to recognize and memorialize workers who have died either of workplace accidents or of workplace-oriented disease. In the state of Ohio, that number gets finalized 2 years after the actual year, because it sometimes takes 2 years for folks to finally process the paperwork through bureaus of workers' compensation and the affiliated unions to know whether or not they were actually a workplace injury that resulted in their death. Here in Ohio, the preliminary number for last year was 136 Ohioans who died of workplace injury or workplace-oriented disease. The finalized number for 2023 that includes not only those who worked in organized labor, but those who worked in self-employment was 151 people. On average in Ohio, we lose about 151 people each and every year who die in the course of their work. That number, as you can imagine, is drastically lower now than it was 54 years ago. I would invite you, if you would be open to such a suggestion, to take a moment and join me in a moment of silence for the 136 workers or more this year who've lost their lives, and in recognition of Workers' Memorial Day here on the 28th of April. Amen, and thank you.
Thank you.
of the street apartment 307, Chillicothe, and proud fourth warder. Happy to welcome Michael, Elliot. And some of the fourth warders who are also here are for some reason naturally shy, and they never come up here and speak. If you believe that, I've got some swampland to sell you. However, I did want to have one moment of attention to pick with you. You seem to have picked the big hair coalition over here. And if you're like me, at some point I think you're going to probably have to be moved over. These gentlemen, I'm not saying they don't have very much hair, but hey, let's be honest, some of us just are what they call hirsute.
Should have wore a hat.
At any rate, welcome, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
My name is AJ Teener. I live at 81 North Payne Street, apartment 2B. Lovely to see everybody here again. I wanted to start with saying thank you. Since I first started coming to these meetings, the City Council has absolutely improved the frequency with which they are posting their meetings to social media and trying to get the word out about them. For that, I am grateful. But I also say there's more to be done. When City Council is posting meetings, and admittedly when the City Trackers group is posting of ourselves, we're not doing it in clear language. We're posting the first readings, ordinance numbered 937-20. The majority of modern Americans in the U.S. read at a third grade reading level. After the last meeting, I took the agenda and I took copies of the ordinances and the legislation, and I took them to my brother who works at Chillicothe, who works with, I believe, 3rd or 4th graders. And I asked them, do you think that your students would be able to read this and understand any of it? And the answer was no. And while I agree we do need to use these legal terms and all these complex, specific words to ensure that there are no loopholes in the laws and ordinances we are writing, when we are telling the community about it, when we are explaining it to others, we should be using layman's words. Instead of saying that we are discontinuing the roundabouts on Payne Street and relocating them to Mill, say we've decided not to make them and we've moved them. There is no reason to make it harder to understand what's going on than it already is. People deserve to know what's going on. They should be told. Everybody at every opportunity at every step. I understand that there's a lot of confusion and a lot of change going on right now with our community and with our nation and with everything around us. That is no excuse to drop the ball and let that confusion reign. When we open up and we say exactly what's happening at every single step and put it in words that everybody can understand, it puts everybody at ease. Sure, some people might be a little bit confused, like, well, yesterday you said this and now today you're saying this. But when you post it and you share it every day, every change, every consistent update, then you can look back and say, yes, but if you look, here's what this means, and here's how this is changing. You're finding out information out as I'm finding it out. There's no reason, like this young woman over here who said her husband's on a board but was never told about meetings. How does that happen? How do we have boards and committees where the members aren't even being told about the meetings that they're supposed to be attending and voting at? Where is this miscommunication happening? Where is the ball dropping? You guys are doing better, and I'm infinitely grateful for that. But better isn't good enough. You are our leaders, our representatives, those who are here to take care of the community this community. Better isn't enough. We need the best. And I believe you all can do it. So I'm here asking you to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no more audience participation, we're going to move on to old business. Is there any old business to come before the council? Hearing none, we'll move on to petitions and correspondence.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. I've not received anything.
I'm going to do this in petitions and correspondence. We did receive the objections from the mayor relative to the public camping ordinance. According to the statute, it should be accepted when we're in session, so it has already been submitted to the clerk. It was submitted also to me, so that has been accepted. Each of the council people have received that particular correspondence. So that will be added to the minutes of this particular meeting to show that it was accepted at this particular meeting. And then any appropriate timelines will commence to run from this time. Is there any questions or comments about that particular correspondence? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. The only thing I have for new business is to once again let everybody know that Yellow Day is on Friday. It's an important day here, and hope everybody can be downtown if possible and see the young folks that come down. And finally, since this is your last meeting, Mr. Prohl, I'm going to give you the opportunity to say anything you'd like to, because I want to tell you, your presence will be sorely missed. You've been a wonderful councilman and a wonderful person for this city, and I don't know how we could ever say thank you enough, but I'd like to give you an opportunity to have the last word perhaps here for a while.
I thank you for that. I didn't prepare anything, but that's never stopped me from talking way too long, so get the hook ready. I tell you, coming in here, I thought about writing something down, but I said so much at the last meeting, and it's a tough thing. I really have enjoyed being on council. It's been a job that has been tough. We've been at times, you get emotionally beat up doing this job. It is not. It's not always easy whenever you're going through hard times. I'm worried for the city as you know, we struggle with the future that is before us, with uncertainty about what's going on, not only here in Chillicothe, but in our nation and around the world. Those things all worry me, and I think that's what's made me able to do this job. I take everything to heart, and whenever we've had to lay people off, it broke my heart. It wasn't something I did or took easily, and this has been such a part of my life. My daughter's in the audience. She came with me. At the first meeting, she was with me, but she just wasn't born yet. She was just a ride-along with her mom, and so this has been, so much of my family's life and dedication, not only of myself, but my wife and my kids to this city. And we do it because we love Chillicothe, and we love the people of Chillicothe, and this is where I grew up, and this is my whole life. So doing this job for so long has been great. I really wanted to do it longer, but whenever you have a heart attack, I tell you what, if something isn't going to wake you up, a heart attack, it's about as good as it gets to wake you up. And I thought, well, I got to make some changes. I got to take a few steps back and get to a point where I feel like I'm healthy and strong, and also lots of changes in my life going on that I don't want to miss out on with my kids. My oldest is graduating. My youngest is just entering high school. My oldest is going to be starting college, and lots of adventures that I want to be a part of, and I want to be there for them. And sometimes I will admit that council was taken away times, but I always felt that it was worth it, and I always asked my kids, is this something that you still want Daddy to do? And I always remember this, that's my kids, before I run, I always evaluate, like, did I do a good job? Did I do the best I could do? Did I matter? Because I didn't want to be somebody that came in and collected a check or pushed some kind of agenda. I wanted to serve the people, and I always wondered, did I do that? And one of the things came up right before an election, and I thought, You know, I'm gonna ask the kids, kids, do you still want daddy to do this? Do you still want me to continue being on council when it means that I'm away on Mondays and sometimes, you know, other days as well, and I'm taking phone calls, sometimes on the holiday for people that, you know, are upset and need help. Do you still want me to do this? And my daughter said, of course. They said, if you don't care about Chillicothe, who will? It touched me, and never asked the question again, because I just knew that, you know, what the answer would be, and that I needed to do this for as long as I could do it, and that's what I've done. And now we're at the end of this, and I'm sad because it has been such a part of my life, but there's so much to be proud of that this council has done, that the people of Chillicothe have done. It is a group effort. I'll never say that I did this or I did that, because as a single person on council, there's nothing that I could really do. I might be able to encourage or maybe question, but in the end, it is a group effort. The things that happen, we've done together, and the people that I've served with, I'm happy to say I served with them. Even when I didn't agree with them, it was part of the process. It was the things that needed to happen in a government run by the people, is that you're going to sometimes be at odds, and you're going to challenge each other. But you also always have to be willing to find that middle ground and work together, because that's where the action is, in the middle. So I always, you know, tried to work for that, and I think, you know, at times we've been able to achieve some great things because of that. So it has been my honor. I thank the people of Chillicothe for so many wonderful years, and I will still, in my way, try my best to help this city. And I will miss this position, but I will not miss the city, because I don't plan to ever leave. And I'll be here to help out in maybe a new way. We'll just have to see how things develop, but I'm excited for having an opportunity to continue to walk upon this earth after that close call. So I want to thank the people for all the support and all the great things that we've been able to do. They mean a lot. I'm proud of them, and I'm proud to say I'm Chillicothe. Thanks so much.
My oldest daughter used to say when she was real little, she'd say, "That makes my heart happy." And every time I see you, Dustin, it makes my heart happy. Thank you for all that. I appreciate it very much. Moving on now, we'll move on to legislation.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. This evening, we have 9 items on our agenda. First item is, item number 1 is the third reading of an ordinance appropriating $96,000 to pay for the demolition of 6 houses within the city that have been damaged by fire.
Clerk, call the roll.
Bennett?
Yes.
Payne?
Yes.
Elliott?
Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
McKeever?
Yes.
Dement?
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Kroll?
Yes.
Creed?
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. The next ordinance.
Item number 2 is the third reading of an ordinance approving the modification of proposed roadway plans for the road network changes in and around Yoctangi Park as part of the Appalachian Community Grant Program.
Clerk, call the roll.
Bennett?
Yes.
Payne?
Yes.
Elliott?
Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
McKeever?
Yes.
Dement?
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Kroll?
Yes.
Creed?
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 3 is the second reading of an ordinance establishing rates of pay and other economic benefits for non-bargaining employees within the Safety Services Department and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance will move to the next agenda. Next ordinance.
Item number 4 is the first reading of an ordinance appropriating $9,520 to cover costs associated with the city's participation in the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission 2025 Local Government Intern Program.
Ordinance will move to the next agenda. Next ordinance.
Item number 5 is the first reading of an ordinance accepting and appropriating funds in the amount of $10,000 into the Law Enforcement Trust Fund.
Ordinance will move to the next agenda. Next ordinance.
Item number 6 is the first reading of an ordinance appropriating $19,130.81 from unappropriated American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, Violent Crimes Grant Funds to cover costs for payroll purposes of ARPA designated police officers.
Ordinance will move to the next agenda. Next ordinance.
Item number 7 is the first reading of an ordinance appropriating funds and authorizing the mayor to contract with appropriate firms to study and answer questions, including but not limited to the physical condition of city-owned buildings, layout, renovation possibilities, and structural integrity.
President Shoemaker,
Mr. Creed,
I'd like to make a motion to waive the 3-read rule.
is there a second? Second by Ms. Preston. Is there any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
The 3-read rule is waived. The clerk will now call the roll relative to the ordinance.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. The next ordinance.
Item number 8 is the first reading of an ordinance supporting the city's community yard sale weekends and waiving the applicable yard sale permit fee of $5 for participants.
President Shoemaker,
Councilwoman Bennett,
I'd like to waive the 3 reading rule on this.
second by Ms. Payne. The clerk call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
The 3-read rule is waived. The clerk will now call the roll relative to the ordinance.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 9 is the first reading of an ordinance appropriating $20,000 for the purchase of replacement guardrails along Carlisle Hill.
The ordinance will move to the next agenda. And I would now ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Payne, second by Ms. Bennett. The clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
All right, that is the end of the regular city council meeting for April 28th, 2025.
So you got stuff you're passing